are 7 conditions states that every group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. We'll see that the basket makes its way around. This is a weekly STEP meeting. Our format is as follows. A speaker is asked to talk for 25 to 30 minutes on the STEP of that week, followed by discussion or questions until 7 p.m. You can find these weekly STEP meetings on our YouTube page, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Doylestown. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and share. Brings us to the speaker portion of the meeting on this day of July 3rd, 2023 in Doylestown, PA at the Monday night 6 p.m. Stay Alive Literature and STEP Group at St. Paul's Lutheran Church. Tonight's speaker is Chris. Chris is going to be sharing his story and touching on his experience with Step 11. Please help me welcome Chris.
Chris Alcohol.
Hey, Chris.
I'm celebrating 29 years today.
Hey. Yeah.
Awesome. And I want to go back first before we go into the Step 11 because I had no clue what Step 11 was when I got here. First off, all I knew was I started a car in a garage that week.
Speak up, please.
I started a car in a garage because I didn't want to live anymore. And I had gone to Alcoholics Anonymous because I was required to by that old Doylestown courthouse to get a piece of paper signed. And I went to Salem 130 meeting, and I was 18 years old, and I knew more than my father. I knew more than anybody. I was still God. And anyway, by the time I was 21 years old, I had 3 DUIs. Oh, and by the way, that first meeting that I went to, I was scared. I was sweating. My palms were sweating. I just kept on saying to myself, there's no way I can be an alcoholic at 18 with my first DUI. And there was a guy that spent like an hour with me after the meeting telling me, his name was Cookie Pete. I don't see him there anymore, but he spent like an hour with me, and I'm like, why is this guy wasting his time with this loser? You know, and he's like, Chris, you're going to get more DUIs, you're going to puke. Well, he was not really pointing the finger at me. He was pointing the finger at himself. My perspective was still out of line, I guess. And so anyway. So I got 3 DUIs, and I give this attorney $7,000, and he basically said, Chris, you're a loser. There is no defense for you. You're an alcoholic. Accept it. And you need to get to Alcoholics Anonymous. And of course I looked at him and I'm like, wait a second, I just gave you $7,000 and you're telling me I'm an alcoholic? Maybe you can give me a discount or something? But anyway, July 3rd, it was the first time ever I took a sip of a beer, and I left that party that night, and again, it was the first time I ever took a sip of a beer, and I just cried and prayed to God and asked God to help me with my miserable life. And I finally, July 4th, I was sweating too. I had the DTs. My body was shaking all the time. I always had a case of beer in the back of my trunk. or a keg. Actually, that's right. I got that one other DUI. I forgot about that. The police were not happy. I had a keg in the back seat of the car. And I also blamed it on the two females that happened to be with me that night because they had to go to the bathroom at a church parking lot in the back, and the police caught us there. And thank God I wasn't in the car because I was going to the restroom behind the car also. But they said thank you very much for the keg. Anyway, and made us walk to, so that would have been my fourth DUI, you know that? Now that I'm thinking about it. But anyway, let's get to this 11th step. I hated God. Probably for 3 to 4 months into sobriety. And I ended up going to Betty Ford Center out in California, and I then, because I was so young, my dad also drank 3 to numerous martinis every night, so suffice to say he was an alcoholic too. And so Betty Ford Center would not let me come back here to Pennsylvania and try to stay sober. They made me go to this halfway house for 3 more months, and I lived, ate, breathed Alcoholics Anonymous. I was required to get, Dan Talbot was my first sponsor. Didn't know him from Adam. I couldn't read the book because my mind, I still had like ants crawling up my back. I guess from the DTs or whatever. Even though there was no ants there, you know, it's like, wow. And Dan just, he like held my hand and like took me to step meetings like nonstop in California. I lived in Newport Beach, and then we had this Sunday step meeting at like 2:00 in the afternoon or 3, I forget when it was, but you know, we would basically go through the Alcoholics Anonymous book. It wasn't, it was the previous edition, but anyway, when I got together with him, he would come pick me up, and we would go to his home, and every day I have multiple pages underlined, and I'm going to just go to this 11th step basically. I'm going to go back a little bit further, but it says here on page 86, when we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Do we owe an apology? Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Were we kind and loving toward all? What could we have done better? Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time? Or were we thinking of what we could do for others, of what we could pack into the stream of life? But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. After making our reviews, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. Then it says right here, and Dan and I would do this on a daily basis at like 5:30 in the morning. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, and self-seeking motives. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance. For after all, God gave us brains to use. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane. And basically, we would meditate then right after we would do multiple readings in the big book. And then also page 99 in the step book, 12 and 12, the St. Francis prayer. And then we would basically light a candle on his kitchen table, and we would then start to meditate. And my meditation has changed over the years. I did not meditate for multiple years, even though I did read these items many days of my sobriety. I have learned to meditate especially when I received kidney stones about 6 or 7 years ago. And I was in Doylestown Hospital, and they're like, we can't give you any more morphine because we've given you like 3 times the normal limit. And so I'm screaming. And I said to myself, please God, please God, please God, help me with this pain. It's so painful. My wife's had it too. And she says it's worse than having kids. And I've learned how to breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Right now I live down in Belmar, New Jersey, Point Pleasant area. I went to a beach meeting 2 days ago. I listened to the waves. I watched the birds. I felt the sand in my feet. I tried to be the more part of what God is trying to tell me or show me on a daily basis. It's funny because like when I'm trying to do my self-centered fear, I'm like swimming against the Delaware River, okay? When I'm praying and meditating and going with God's will for me today, I'm going with the river. And it's so much easier to swim that way. And I would like to use like one example. What time is it? I don't want to go too long. Okay, I got 5 more minutes. So, for example, somebody's phone's on, vibrate. It could be my phone.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's my phone, and it's my son in Denver.
It's okay.
He'll get the hint.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, sorry.
So, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
It's no big deal. It's just my mind is at peace, and so I can hear. I could probably hear some people's hearts right now. I don't want to lose my concentration. I think I did though. For example, 2 days ago, I'm driving this truck. I just got the transmission repaired, and I'm driving the smoker down to the marina that I'm living on my boat for the summer. And I'm a captain also. And I wasn't any of this stuff, by the way, when I got to Alcoholics Anonymous. I used to bitch at my sponsor. I'm like, I only have pennies to put in the basket. When is God going to give me $1? He's like, maybe when you can actually work like a real human being and count money. And Alcoholics Anonymous will teach you that. But anyway, back to the meditation. So the transfer case blew up at Great Adventure on 195. And I just paid the transmission guy $9,000 to fix my transmission. And this was the first trip with it. And I had the smoker on the back. You've seen the smoker. Up at the pig roast, right? I've been cooking at the pig roast for probably 18 years. So anyway, I'm broken off on the side of the road, and I just started asking God, please God, show me what to do. So I started going, I have like 200 AA phone numbers in my phone, from California to Belmar. Sandy Storm, for example, they were whacked really hard. So I was able to get like 20 generators on my credit card, and I drove it right down to them the day after. And all the people in AA were like so thankful. And I just told them, give me back my money whenever the cost. Because there were trucks being there with generators, and they were charging like $30,000 for a $2,000 generator. It was outrageous back then. So anyway, this guy Rob pulled over to the side of the road within 5 minutes. He comes walking up to my window. You need some help? I'm like, yeah, I need to get the smoker down to Belmar. I need the firewood to get down to the Belmar. He's like, well, guess what? Let's do it. Let's push this truck. Let's get the trailer off. Let's push the truck forward. Let's get the wood into the back of my truck. And let's hook up the trailer and go. He says, by the way, I'm from South Carolina. I'm a longshoreman. I need to rent another smoker. He's got some big smoker in his backyard or something. He's showing me some pictures. And he's like, would you be willing to bring your smoker over to my house like July 26th? And how much would you charge? I said, you know what, man? You're doing God's work today. I'm doing this for you for free on July 26th. Because what the topics at the 2 meetings this morning that I went to in Belmar was on kindness. It doesn't cost us a dime to give human beings kindness. And that's what this guy Rob really taught me 2 days ago. And what's that got to do with meditation? I have no clue. But it's definitely God's world. It's not my world. I also had 4 other people from the program show up like 10 minutes after Rob already picked me up at my truck to help me with anything to get to where I needed to go. So like I said, I'm also going through the worst time of my life in sobriety. My wife resents me to no end. She has taken me away from my 23-year-old son and 20-year-old daughter. She says I need to find my own kind. did find a lot of. She has never drank in front of me until last year, and I then persisted to go in our master bedroom, and I found a whole bunch of hidden bottles in the bottom of the closet, and I found little airplane bottles in her work bag. And I have this sponsor now, Marge. She's my spiritual advisor. She's got 50 years of sobriety. I chose her because I've gone through like Farmer Mike. I've gone through multiple men at this point in time in my sobriety, and they all seem to die of old age. So I figured statistically, Marge hopefully will last longer than me, even though she's like 85 years old. But again, she's so spiritual. She's been divorced, so she's helping me through this situation very well. And so meditation, it says we can go to a priest or rabbi or a church or wherever you want to try. I even use YouTube now. I go on YouTube, I want meditation, and I click the button and I do a 10-minute breathing to a YouTube video. Trust me, we did not have any of that stuff when I first came into this program. I used to have to use a paper map to find meetings. And I asked a lot of gas stations how to get to the meetings. And it's nice that we have that app now. So makes it a lot easier. It's funny too because my second or third sponsor, Jim D, 10 or 15 years ago, he would call me up because I'm 50. I'm young somewhat still. And he's like, where's a meeting? And I'm like, where are you, Jim? Where are you in Connecticut? He's like, I'm on this thing at this exit on 190 or on 95. Oh, I really need a meeting. And I'm like going on my laptop, looking up meetings on the laptop. And I'm like, Jim, this is where your next closest meeting's at in like 15 minutes. And he would call me like a day later. Thanks, Chris. You saved my butt again. And I'm grateful that I've been able to do those kinds of things. And now oh, wow. It's 30 minutes. I went too long. Thanks. I hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Chris. At this point, we'll open up the meeting for discussion or questions. Please limit your sharing to 3 minutes. Please keep your shares related to the step. If you feel like drinking or if you've had a drink today, please see me or speak to someone after the meeting. We ask that you please refrain from the use of profanity as we are in a church and on a spiritual journey. And with that, the meeting is open.